We affirm the resolution. Today's debate isn't about mass surveillance, it's about whether America can stop catastrophic events in a world where terrorists and foreign adversaries hide behind unbreakable encryption. Our team believes lawful access is essential to prevent AI native terrorism and to protect critical infrastructure from invisible zero-day attacks. In an era of autonomous weapons and cyberware, perfect secrecy is perfect danger. This round should be evaluated on which side best protects long-term public safety. We prioritize impacts using three standards: magnitude, timeframe, and irreversibility. Under any fair weighing system, preventing mass casualty terrorism and nationwide infrastructure failures outweigh speculative privacy harms. Our first contention is AI native terrorism. The UN Counterterrorism Center reports that AI is creating new modalities for physical attacks with drones or self-driving cars, and that terrorist groups are early adopters of emerging technologies. They warn that AI created enables attacks with greater speed, scale, and stealth. The CIRSD think tank adds that AI gives terrorists an asymmetric edge over governmental institutions by removing the human factor from attacks. AI-equipped vehicles and drones can autonomously target crowds or individuals using facial recognition, allowing attackers to deploy violence without even being present. More importantly, the UN finds that AI-powered encryption tools autonomously create their own form of sending encrypted messages back and forth, meaning machine-to-machine terror networks can coordinate attacks invisibly. Right now, law enforcement cannot access these channels even with a warrant, creating blind spots that terrorists exploit. Our impact is that AI-enabled autonomous attacks scale far beyond human ability and strike with no warning, threatening mass casualties and national security. Only lawful access restores visibility and prevents these attacks before they can occur. Our second contention is critical infrastructure zero-day response. Critical infrastructure are water systems, energy grids, emergency communications, and transportation networks. All rely on encrypted communications. When attackers breach these systems through zero-day vulnerabilities, defenders cannot distinguish legitimate commands from injected malicious instructions if they cannot lawfully inspect encrypted traffic. Midnight Blue's 2025 security disclosure revealed 9 zero-day vulnerabilities, and Tetra, a communication system used globally by law enforcement, the military, electric grids, water utilities, oil and gas pipelines, and railways. They warn that attackers can inject arbitrary messages into Tetra-based SCADA networks, causing serious disruptive effects against electronic and water utilities, oil and gas, and railways. They also showed that Tetra's encryption can be downgraded from 128 bits to 56 bits, meaning, quote, any attacker with modest computing resources can break the E2EE layer. The problem isn't just foreign systems. The U.S. House Homeland Security Committee's 2025 Cyber Threat Snapshot reports that 70% of all cyber attacks target critical infrastructure, and even the CISA itself was breached by a zero-day vulnerability in a VPN. During these attacks, the inability to inspect encrypted communications delay emergency response, allowing malware and false commands to spread through critical networks. Our impact is a single coordinated attack can disable hospitals, poison water supplies, shut down energy grids, or derail trains. Lawful access allows emergency description under a warrant, giving defenders the visibility needed to stop the attacks before systems fail. Infrastructure failures cause economic collapse, physical damage, and loss of life that cannot be undone. At the end of this round, ask which world is safer: a world where terrorists use AI-driven encrypted networks to launch invisible attacks and foreign adversaries exploit zero-day vulnerabilities to cripple water, power, and emergency systems, or a world where law enforcement with the warrant can access the communications necessary to stop catastrophic harm before they materialize. On magnitude, timeframe, and reversibility, our impacts outweigh. We strongly affirm. Thank you. We negate the resolution. This debate is not about protecting criminals, it's about protecting everyone. The affirmative creates systematic vulnerabilities that foreign adversaries and authoritarian regimes will exploit at a global scale. Our team believes mandating backdoors destabilizes national security, threatens all critical infrastructure, and accelerates international repression. The round should be evaluated on which side best protects long-term digital security and human rights. We weigh by magnitude, time frame, and irreversibility. Under this weighing, the negative wins because breaking encryption risks total systematic failure and global repression. Our first contention is a quantum downgrade cascade. Lawful access requires key escrow, storing decryption keys so the government can unlock data. But creating stores keys today ensures that future quantum computers can break them instantly, compromising the entire internet. The NSA and CISA warn that once a cryptographically relevant quantum computer is built, it will be capable of breaking widely used public key cryptography, including RSA, Diffie-Hellman, and elliptic curve systems, the very foundation of modern encryption. They add encrypted data intercepted today can be stored and decrypted in the future. IMB Securities 2023 Threat Index confirms this is already happening. They report that nation-state actors are already engaging in harvest now, decrypt later attacks, collecting encrypted government, healthcare, and critical infrastructure data now, knowing quantum machines will break it later. Here's why this collapses the affirmative world. Requiring lawful access means those keys must be generated and stored. Once stored, they become permanent targets, and quantum computing guarantees they will be broken. This is guaranteed, irreversible, systematic failure affecting banking, medicine, military communications, personal data, government networks, and critical infrastructure. Everything that runs on encryption becomes vulnerable. Our impact is a single quantum-enabled breach exposes all historical, stored, and future encrypted communications, creating the largest data compromise in human history. Once encryption fails, there's no way to undo global data exposure. Our second contention is global authoritarian spillover. Once the US mandates backdoors, authoritarian governments around the world gain justification to do the same. The United Nations Special Report on Privacy 2024 warns mandating weakened encryption or requiring exceptional access to mechanisms empower authoritarian regimes who use such measures to persecute journalists, human rights defenders, and political opponents. The report concludes that the international spillover effects of such policies are immediate and severe. Access Now 2023 Global Surveillance Report echoes this. When democratic governments introduce exceptional access or backdoor requirements, authoritarian states seize the opportunity to expand mass surveillance. These laws are rapidly replicated in jurisdictions with weak human rights protections. This means the affirmative sets a global precedent where nations like China, Russia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia can openly demand backdoors into all communication platforms and use them to identify dissidents, suppress protests, arrest journalists, and target minorities. Weakening encryption doesn't just affect criminals, it endangers activists, whistleblowers, refugees, and anyone living under repressive regimes. The UN explicitly warns that pervasive surveillance erodes vibrant pluralistic democracies and risks systems of control that choke civic life. Our impact is affirmative causes global authoritarian expansion, mass repression, and the erosion of democracy. At the end of this round, the question is simple. Do we create permanent vulnerabilities that quantum computers will inevitably break, collapsing digital security for every American? Do we normalize global backdoors that authoritarian regimes will use to persecute dissidents and journalists? Or do we protect the long-term security and freedoms that encryption guarantees? Under magnitude, time frame, and irreversibility, the affirmative creates irreversible global harms. We negate.